The next stop is On the Radar Radio.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Yes, sir, baby. On the Radar Radio. Yo, special guest in the building.
Special.
Lorisco in the building, my guy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So the story of how I found you is super fire, right? Ask my boy John here, you know what I'm saying? I saw you on Chinatown Sounds.
Nice.
It was
Shout out
like
to Chinatown Sounds.
Like I opened up my gram first thing in the morning. Shout out Bubs too, you know what I'm saying?
Peace to Bubs and to G.
Yep, and to G, yep. And I opened up my gram and your Chinatown Sounds popped up. And I'm like, nah, this boy fire. I was like, make the call, John. And then John was like, I'm on it. And then when I saw you pop on the schedule, he's like, he's here next week. I'm like, shit, we did it.
We did it. Yo, and it's funny you say that because, you know, my manager, obviously I got my manager Baba in the building right here.
Yes,
Peace
sir.
to Baba.
Peace to Baba.
My other manager, Dante Ross, who also manages me, he was like, we dropped that Chinatown shit, and he was like, all right, like 2 weeks, I'm gonna reach out to Gay P. You know, I don't want to go too early enough. And he's like, I'm gonna just make that call, tell him to get you on there. And then like next morning I opened my DMs and it was like,
it was him.
Yo, on the radar, on the radar. Yo, thank you for that. But it was like, on the radar, I wanna come get you on here. And I sent it to Dante. I was like, I need to make that call. Did you?
Yeah, I didn't. You know, because it's like when I told Bud, because I got to drop our interview, but when he was here, you know, we had like a conversation about how like we mutually like, you know, it's like. People always think like, oh, just because we do kind of similar things, we're in competition. No, I feel like we feed off of each other in really dope ways. You know what I'm saying? I have like great people like John or Vegas who really like kind of bring me artists from him sometimes that I don't always see, and vice versa. But when I do get to like actually tap in and sit down and get to watch Chinatown Sounds, like I'll be like, all right, I want that guy, I want that guy, I want that guy. And Bud's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of like the same one on the radar. Like if I see somebody on the radar, like I'll be like, oh, I want him, I want him, I want him. But I think that's how we all grow as like a culture too. You know what I'm saying?
And it's dope because, you know, I think for a long time New York City's kind of been missing like a platforms, and I'll say a platform, but multiple platforms, obviously, in this scenario that, you know, support, you know, different lanes of this shit, different people from all different places in the city, you know, so I think that's really important. Shout out to Top Shelf, too, even though they're in Hope.
I love Top Shelf. Shout out to Top Shelf.
We just did Top Shelf, too, you know what I mean? Get the quick trifecta.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, like, I had, like, this conversation with somebody the other day. They're like, oh, yeah, like, kind of similar to what you just said. And one of the things that I pointed out was, like, look, man, it's like, you know, you need a platform, you know, like ours and like the Top Shelves and like the Chinatown Sounds and like, you know, at least with On the Radar, I can't really speak for how everybody else runs their stuff, but like how I operate is like, yo, I want everybody from the top to the bottom. You feel me? Like I want to have, I want to have Herbo come up here, but I also want to have whoever is hot out here come up here who might not be on the Herbo level yet.
And I think that's dope too, because I think, you know what I mean? Like you kind of got to pull people in different ways with that. You know what I mean? Like obviously, sadly enough to say, like, people wouldn't probably be tuning in the way they would if they didn't expect to see some bigger names on here occasionally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like obviously people want to find new artists and stuff, but you kind of got to balance that out, you know what I mean? Throw people who are going to help bring their platforms to this platform, you know what I mean? Their fan bases and all of that, so.
So I'm interested to get your story, right? So where are you from originally?
I'm from Washington Heights. For those who don't know, that's uptown Manhattan, a little bit above Harlem, you know what I mean? Kind of near the Bronx, but it's uptown Manhattan. I mean, shout out Washington Heights. Facts.
So you were born and raised up there?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Spent my whole life up there pretty much. So take a lot of pride in being from there, most definitely.
Right. Do you, this is interesting that you mentioned that you're from Washington Heights. So like, did you ever get to see like the In the Heights movie?
It's funny you say that because like nobody in my hood really like likes that movie. You know what I mean?
He's going like this. It's a good conversation to have though, because I have my own.
It's actually.
Oh, you saying like this because you don't like it?
Yeah.
It's a bad movie.
My man right here also from the Heights. And it's funny you say that because, like, literally at the Mass Appeal event, I was at some Mass Appeal Hip Hop 50 shit, like, last week, and I met Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I told him, I was like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you did a lot of stuff, but, like, you know, I wasn't really, like, into that lane of stuff, but I still just was like, yo, I appreciate you putting a light on it, you know what I mean? Trying to, at least, you know what I mean? I was like, yo, I'm a rapper from the Heights, like, you know what I mean? Just wanted to have that conversation because there's not a lot of rappers from up there, if any, you know what I mean?
A lot of Spanish rappers.
But I mean in like the real hip hop core, like you know what I mean? Like it's not really anyone who's came from up there and like been like, yo, like this is where I'm from, like, because in New York it's like a very known neighborhood, you know what I mean? People go up there to get weed, go up there for food, they, I mean, fuck shorties up there, all of that shit. Like it's very
King's
like
Theater,
known.
King's Theater, that's a theater up there too?
Is that like near Dykeman type shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You might need, is that still up there?
Yeah, that's what it's called though, right? It's King's Theater, right? Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
It's all Kanye.
But Nah, that's fire. Nah, and then there's also there's like a bunch of like little spots there. You know what I mean? That have just been there for like long ass time. So you know, I really like the feel of that neighborhood and that it really feels like New York. And you know what I mean? I go certain places now and I'm just like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like this is not the place I grew up in. You know what I mean? But I don't feel that way about my neighborhood, which is very comforting.
I feel like with the movie, my criticism of the movie is very similar to yours. I felt like it was just kind of like it did the Hollywood thing where it's like they're gonna paint. They made it too shiny. That's what it was. It was
and
too
like,
shiny.
Also, like I don't even want to make it like a political thing either, and like feel free to cut this out. But there was literally like screenshots of like him using the same like template of people, and it was like literally like
I was about to get to that.
two like actually like dark skinned like Latino Americans in there. So it was like people were also kind of upset about that because if you really walk down the Heights, it's not you know there's a lot of morenas and stuff down there too. You know what I mean? Morenos, all of that. You know what I mean? It's not just like light skinned like Hispanics and stuff. Obviously, I'm a white boy, so I'm just here observing. You know what I mean? But,
no, but you say what needs to be said because that's how I felt.
That's
too.
how a lot of my friends felt too. They were like, "Yo, I ain't seen that shit." You know what I mean? It's some bullshit. You know what I mean? So
because I even feel like because I saw the play when I was a kid. Right. I saw it on Broadway, and I feel like I'm not gonna pretend like I remember everything with the play because I was like 13 years old, maybe, right? Absolutely. But I do even remember that like even the play had better representation of people from the like you know
I remember
the
play,
complexion of the people from the Heights.
A lot of like the play like I think a lot of people still like kind of respect, but I think the movie just was a little rushed. I feel like people, you know what I mean? And like I remember like I wasn't like old enough to see the play, but I remember there was Coogan's on 169th Street. You know, they used to be like one of the main restaurants in the neighborhood, and they kind of closed down. But they had like a big, like huge poster of that shit, which I always thought was ill. I was just like, what is that? You know what I mean? And one day I like did the research. I was like, oh, that's fine.
Right. But growing up in the Heights, so like when did you first start making music? Like how long have you been making music?
I started like writing in middle school, I want to say. You know, I didn't really take it super seriously. Like I had a cousin who made beats, and like he would just send me a lot of beats, and I would write to the beats, and I would make like full songs to the beats, but I would never like record them, you know? So I just had like lots of stuff that I would do, and I would like rap for my friends and be like, yo, is this shit fire? What about this? Da 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 da. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the case, and then like over time I just started taking it more seriously. You know, beginning of high school, I started putting out some songs. I started putting out some projects, and I like pushed those out for a minute. You know what I mean? That's how I found my man Arlo right here. He found me, reached out off of that project, but you know, so I put those out and people fucked with it. Like I had started building like a very small fan base, you know, online and stuff. But like, you know, a lot of like I wasn't getting the exact type of like reviews that I wanted. And like people thought it was dope, but like everybody was like, yo, you sound like ASAP Rocky. Literally, everyone told me that. And like peace to ASAP, you know what I mean? Rest in peace to Yams. Like I fuck with that whole movement, you know, but like I just didn't really want to be like I just didn't want people to be like, yo, like you sound like ASAP Rocky. So like I was like, fuck it. Like I want to take my time and really like find the sound that I want to be in, which was like a more like lyrical, classic New York rapper, you know what I mean? And like Rocky still get down, no doubt, you know what I mean? But like that just wasn't like the space that I like, specifically because like people just said that name so much, I just kind of was like, that's not what I want to be, you know what I mean? And I fuck with Rocky, but it was also just like, I always grew up listening to like, you know what I mean, like Doom and like Biggie and like Nas and stuff. So that's what I kind of wanted to be more like, you know what I mean? So I put those out. They were received how they were received, and you know, it was pretty dope. But like, I then took a lot of time to really find the sound I wanted to do, which was, you know, the sound I'm doing now. I linked up with Arlo, and then we kind of just started making music that you hear now.
That's fire. And that's when we dropped Museum last year.
Yeah, I dropped Museum over the summer. That was almost like a year in the making. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy because actually the first idea I had for that project was the cover. And that was also the last thing I got done.
Of course, the last thing you got done.
Nah, because it's funny enough because like I had this idea for the cover in my head for so long that like by the time like I got all the music ready, I was like I almost like forgot that I was like, oh wait, I actually need to like make the cover. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it came out exactly how I would have wanted. You know what I mean? Shout out to Lord NMF and shout out to Curvin's Photography who helped me bring that to life. But you know, that shit was dope. That shit was dope.
With the cover, what was the idea behind it for you?
I just really wanted to make something that was like eye-catching and also kind of like abstract and people could kind of draw their own conclusions from.
Okay.
You know, because I feel like my music is very just stream of thoughts, very much so like there's a piece of my mind, this is what I'm gonna give to you, and I kind of want people to take that how they're gonna take it. You know what I mean? And like if you see the cover, like I'm holding the painting. You know what I mean? So that's me kind of saying like you get to control your own art.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm just kind of standing there, not rocking no pants. I got my suit and tie on. You know what I mean? With a little mannequin head in Newport, and I just felt like, you know, that all of those kind of things culminated and was just kind of like abstract enough to represent what I was trying to go for, but still very like close to me. Like I remember when we first did the shoot, I brought like a WWE wrestling belt and stuff. We did
like
some
that.
shots like that. Those didn't make the cut, but you know, like I was just trying to do some shit that like felt like really like original to me and felt like, oh, like this is really interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Like let me like look into this a little deeper.
Right. I like the with the what was with the head in the corner.
So I literally found that in my lobby one day. I was
Okay.
walking in and I saw it in my lobby and I was like, I need this for the cover. And like I just kept it in my room. It's still in my room. And then yeah, I just thought it was dope. And then it has like a indent right here and it looks like a third eye. You know what I mean? I used to be like
Wait,
really
hold on,
yeah, look real close.
No, because I have it on my laptop, but I feel like I need to look at it on my thing.
Zoom in a little bit. It got like a third eye, and like when I first like started kind of with this album, like I was doing a lot of psychedelics and stuff, and like that used to be a big part of my life. I kind of like put that to the side a little, just because I feel like just because I feel like I kind of grew into who I was on my own after that. But you know, I just thought that was like an important thing, and I also thought, you know what I mean, like again, just another cool detail. You know what I mean?
That's fire.
But yeah, I deadass found that shit in my lobby, and like I was just like, I just knew. I was like, yeah, well, I don't know why I need this, but I need it.
So what? So you just stopped doing psychedelics after a while too?
Like, I mean, I used to like be very heavily involved in psychedelics, not just in taking them, to say it like that. So I had I had very easy access to them. So I was doing it very frequently in my early years of high school, specifically acid. I was doing acid almost like every week or two. And I was doing like big doses. And then eventually I was just like, yo, like you gotta chill. And occasionally I'll do shrooms, you know what I mean? Now and then, like just every couple of months if I just am like, yo, let me like get back into my groove. But like I'm mainly just like a very big religious weed smoker, you know what I mean? You know, and like how I am about drinking is kind of like I don't really feel like I need to buy my own alcohol, but like if someone hands me a bottle and is like, let's get lit, I'm not gonna refuse that.
I like smoke when I'm not working. So like I always have like a little stash in my crib.
There you go.
But like that's kind of how I am with
Yeah,
weed.
it's a balance to everything.
It's a balance, yeah. It's a balance,
You know what I mean? And like I'm still learning that balance, and I'm open to admit that. But you know, I'm also a rapper, so I get to do all these cool things, and it's just a part of my job.
Right. With the record with the record with Marco Plus, right? So what was the story behind that joint?
There's a big story behind that joint. I don't even know if motherfuckers want to know the whole story behind that joint, but that's my dog for real. Like, basically, I'm very glad I found that dude because that's my guy. And I found him at a time where I was really, like, starting to focus on my pen, really, like, be like, oh, yeah, I'm putting in pain. And I see him, and I'm like, well, fuck. Like, I'm not putting in as much pain as this guy right here.
Right, the villain
you know
himself.
I mean? Right.
The villain himself.
Like, yo, he's crazy. So I just, after I seen him, I was like, damn, like, I got to really get my shit, like, up there. You know what I mean? And, like, I reached out to bro. Like, we started, like, FaceTiming and shit. I showed him some of my stuff, and, like, you know, I'm much younger than him. I'm like 7 years younger than him, but like he was always just been very respectful of that, and he's just been like, yo, you're fucking 8. Like he's like always like just shocked that I'm like 18 in like these rooms and rapping how I'm rapping, and you know what I mean. He's always like bigged me up and you know taking the opportunity to motivate me and put me in rooms that are good rooms to be in. You know what I mean? And yeah, with that record, we had originally had a record. It was funny because my man Arlo, we were in Pirate in Brooklyn. And he was in Brooklyn at the time. And we heard his voice from like the other room. And my man's just like, yo, that's Marco. And I was like, nah, I don't think that's Marco. And we heard it again, and I'm like, all right, that's Marco. So I text him, and he was dead ass in the next room.
That's crazy.
He comes in, he lays some wild ass shit. You know, just to say like that record didn't end up coming out just because of like, you know, different things. But we ended up, I think, making a way better record in the end of it. And you know, that's my guy for real. We got a couple more joints coming. We got a couple more joints in the tuck and shit, you know. But yeah,
that's fire, man.
That's my guy.
So what else are you looking to do? I didn't know you're 18. I thought you were like 23.
Nah, I'm 18. Yeah.
Do you got that a lot?
Yeah. I don't like to tell people anymore because I feel like people be like, oh damn, like You know what I mean? Like honestly, like
hey, look, man.
you know how Chief Keef used to be like, yo, I'm 300. I'm 300. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't tell nobody his shit because I feel like some people might look at you and think like, oh, it's a hobby for him. You know what I mean? Oh, like,
yeah.
just because I feel like a lot of people when they were 18, like they weren't doing this, so they it's hard for them to like believe someone else could be. You know what I mean? And
True.
like,
But I feel like age doesn't define how like
Nah, it
intellectual
definitely
you could be.
doesn't.
Like I think of like
It definitely doesn't.
long live Edop baby. But like when
Facts.
I had Edop baby here with me, I was like, bro, you only 15? He's like, yeah.
Right.
But I'm like, but he was like actually speaking to me in a way of like someone who would be like in their early 20s. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah, and I think
Someone who's
like
seen some
people
shit.
people be sleeping on like how mature this young generation is and how much we can really learn and pick up. You know what I mean? Like, I was taking the subway by myself in like 3rd, 4th grade. You know what I mean? Like, like there's shit that you do as a New Yorker specifically that's just gonna age you. You know what I mean? And like, in a good way though. And like, and then when you go to other cities, you're like moving this to them. You're like moving like that to them. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, I don't really try to take it for granted. I let people think what they want and. You know, I like the fact that I'm 18 because, like, for me, I'm really competing with Nas right now. Like, when I turn 19, bro, that's my Omatic year. You know what I mean? That's what that's what I'm saying. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't like ever try to make it like a thing either. You know what I mean? Like, and when I remember, it's funny you even say that because when I was 17, I wanted to make it a thing.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh yeah, I'm 17. Then I remember this weird feeling when I turned 18 of being like, damn, am I like still like young enough to be like this young rapper, you know what I mean? And then I was like, yo, you're fucking bugging, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's just funny, you know what I mean? And I just be trying to be myself and, you know what I mean? I think, Jesus, I say, you know what I mean, like 50 times, but
It's okay. I say that shit
yeah,
too.
it is a very
me?
nice filler word. Yeah, feel
You know what
me?
I'm saying? I say, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Man, a lot of stuff. But yeah, I think the shit that's important for me as a 18-year-old is that I surround myself with a lot of OGs, you know what I mean? Peace to my man E, peace to Baba, peace to Dante, peace to my man Big Dog, like, you know, Dusty Reynolds, like a lot of people who just give me gems and shit. You know what I mean? And take the opportunity to like chop it up with a younger dude like me and be like, yo, what knowledge can I get this kid so he can further himself? I mean, what can I teach him off the mistakes I've made, off the success I've had? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I really try to be something that could be a gap from the younger to the older generation. I mean, even down to the way I dress and shit. Like, rocking Pelly with Fat Farms, Jabos and shit. Like, kids my age don't know what that shit is. They just like, oh, yeah.
It's
he
Jack
got-
Hart too.
Yeah, thank you, bro. I appreciate that. But they're just like, oh, yeah, he got the big baggy clothes and shit. He's fire. You know what I mean? They're going to fuck with me because I'm in their age bracket. But how much easier it is to get an old head to want to listen to a fucking new rapper when they're wearing a Pelly. They're like, oh, whoa, whoa. What does he know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, let me see what's up with this kid, you know? But you got to open their minds a little bit.
Right, facts. So what do you got coming this year? What are we working on?
A lot of stuff, man. You know what I mean? I'm working on a project called United Palace right now.
Okay.
And that's supposed to really represent, you know, my neighborhood and shit. Kind of to go back to what we was talking about earlier. Like, it's gonna be a little more conscious. It's gonna be more storytelling. And that's gonna be something, you know, production's gonna be mainly handled by my man Arlo. We got some other heads on there too. Yeah, I'm trying to really just make something that feels like my neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like feels like really authentic to where I'm from. So that's my plan. But I'm also gonna drop. That's not the only project I'm gonna drop this year. I'm also planning a project called Piff, which is gonna be kind of dedicated to like smoking weed and just chilling too. You know what I mean? It's funny. I seen Wiz Khalifa tweet the other day. He was like, "Yo, people don't make music to get stoned
I
to
talked about
anymore."
the
And
baton
I
the
was
other
like,
day,
I was
too.
like, word. I was like, okay,
I
Wiz.
bet.
You know what I mean? I'm like, peace. All right, that's cool. You know what I mean? Shout out to Wiz though.
Got Wiz, man.
But yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of gonna be like an homage to that kind of era of that you know, like Wiz, Currency, Mac Miller kind of feeling of stuff. And yeah, this summer's gonna be prolific too. I'm not gonna speak on that shit yet though. That's it. You know what I mean?
Word. Well, I'm excited for you, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you.
By the time y'all see this, Freestyle Now, go check that out. Museum, the album out now.
Been out.
Anything else you want to let the people know where they can follow you at? All that good stuff. Now's the
Yeah,
time to do
man.
it. This camera right here.
All right, Lorisco, Lordsko, everywhere. You know what I mean? Instagram, Spotify. There's a space on Spotify, but I'm sure it'll come up anyway. But yeah, Lorisco, that's me. Uptown shit. Newport Lord, Jeff Hardy. You heard?
There you go. Make sure you go follow him. Go run up everything he has out now. Go run up the freestyle. Go show him some love. Go show him some support. Love is free. Support is free. But y'all already knew that. Till next time, Lorisco on the radar. Washington Heights in the building. We out. Bow, my guy.
Yes, sir.